Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 7 of the RadeKalls podcast. Today we're going to be talking about binge-worthy TV shows today on the quarantine edition of the podcast.
Thanks for stopping by. I'm Phillip Kall, host of the RadeKalls podcast. I'm joined by my good friends Noah Rademacher.
Hey there.
And Jake Burns.
What's up?
We got a great show for you today. We are talking about binge-worthy TV shows. We figure we're all here on quarantine, so let's find the best shows to watch while we're locked away. Let's see, before we get started, please hit your like and subscribe buttons. Also, you can follow us on Twitter. The podcast is at RadeKalls. I am at Radekal_Phil, and Jake is at BurnseyJ82. Finally, you can keep the lights on for the show and help us improve what we got by donating to our podcast at Patreon. You can follow the link in the description to find out more about us.
Woo.
All right. So, like I said, we're talking about binge-worthy TV shows. Noah, what do you look for in a binge-worthy TV show?
Blood. Just a lot of blood. So there needs to be some sort of thing that's alive, and half of them, usually I think that's a good ratio, need to die.
So you don't like the PG-13 versions of the shows where they cut out all the blood and people just get stabbed and shot, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
You need to see the goriness.
Mm-hmm. It's the whole reason
All
I
right.
watch. Yeah.
All right. Noah's a little sadistic. Jake, what do you look for in a TV show you watch?
Well, since I'm a man-child, I only watch animated shows for the most part, short of, hockey on TV, but... if it's animated and it's a comedy, I typically will watch it. So, Archer, Futurama. I even watched that god-awful show Brickleberry that Daniel Tosh did for a while.
Ooh, that was a mistake.
That was a rough one. Oh, besides Blue Mountain State. Phenomenal show. But, yep.
So, when putting this together, I was thinking of binge-worthy TV shows and what I would consider binge-worthy. I got to the point where I was like, it has to have at least 4 good seasons. That way it eats up a good chunk of your day. Because, there's TV shows that are fairly new or only have 1 season out. And, you can blow through that, right, in, 4 or 5 hours. That doesn't really sink your day.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to buckle down if you're like, wait, I'm already done?
Yeah. Anyways. So what are some TV shows you guys have binged? Ones that have stood out. For me, Noah and I lived together in college, and I binged way too many shows on the weekends. And I got him hooked on a few, but there was Chuck, there was Arrow, Scrubs, Parenthood. And I remember there were times Noah would be walking out of the room, and he'd be like, oh, crap, and sit down for an hour or two and just get sucked into whatever I was watching.
And then I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to class today, Phil. Thanks a lot.
So what kind of shows have you watched, Noah, besides the ones I introduced you to?
I am currently getting ready to binge watch the latest season of Money Heist.
What's Money Heist?
It's a show
Never even
where
heard of it.
they heist money.
Thanks.
The fourth season of it just dropped Friday. So I just need to get my binge partner to sit down with me, and then we're just gonna knock it out. Yeah.
Is there a requirement?
Mm-hmm. She'd get mad if I watched it without her.
Okay.
Man. So when Sarah and I first started dating, we were long distance because I was in Columbus and she was in Cleveland. And we had shows we were watching together. I had seen them already, but then she would blow through them when I wasn't around. And even though I'd seen them, it still hurt me a little. I'm just like, man, I really wanted to rewatch this.
How dare you?
On my end, my girlfriend, Katie, is a child like I am, so she just rewatches all 14 seasons of NCIS. every 4 or 5 weeks or so.
That's a very mature, childish thing to do. Mature in the sense that it's NCIS. Childish in that she rewatches it
constantly. So, I've gone through and watched that show now. I've probably seen the whole thing through maybe twice by this point. I actually do enjoy that show, as weird as it is. It took me a while to get into it, but the characters are pretty compelling. But that one has definitely stood out where every time an episode comes on, she's like, oh, watch this one. It's a good one. And I was like, you've said that about every episode we've watched.
Because every episode is a good one, Jake.
Pretty much. I don't know if you guys ever spent much time watching that show, but it's on like syndicate loop on a lot of the cable networks, so you can see it anywhere. It holds up though.
Oh, I just have to get cable?
It's on Netflix.
That would interfere with me stealing all my streaming services.
It's all on Netflix. I mean, if you're looking for something to kill time, like it's worth getting into. It's not a bad show.
Okay. Oh man. So does how a TV show ends affect your kind of rewatchability of it? So the one I'm thinking of, Noah and I were talking about beforehand, is Game of Thrones. And it's like, it started off hot as like one of the best shows ever. And then it just felt like, let's end it up.
Ever.
I have no input because I haven't watched Game of Thrones.
But, so House of Cards is another one. So just think of shows that, okay, Jake, just listen. But House of Cards had a phenomenal first 2 seasons. I remember watching it and it was just hooking me in and everything. But then like the last, I don't even know how many seasons there were left because I stopped halfway through 3. It just kind of got boring and drawn on and wasted my time. So it really hurts. Like if someone asked me a show to watch, I wouldn't recommend those because I know they end terribly.
Oh,
Any
yes.
shows like that where it's just like, oh man, this show was so great. And then it teared off and then it died. And now I can't, the way it ends just hurts me so much. I can't rewatch it as happy as before.
I know one.
What?
How they killed off Scrubs with that when they tried to bring back that season.
Oh my gosh.
That one.
So I'm an
You know what
avid
I'm
Scrubs
talking
fan.
about.
I just stop at the end of season 8. I don't even bother going on to season 9 and watching that garbage.
I give them credit. They tried. It just failed.
They say it's the thought that counts, but not that time. All right, so as I said before, we were considering binge-worthy TV shows, kind of like, has to take up a good chunk of your day, so 4 seasons or more. So I got a list on our doc of many shows that are coming out that I've started watching. They're only 1 or 2 seasons in, though, and they are fantastic. However, they're not long enough for me to consider them binge-worthy. Do you guys have any shows on your mind that you're currently watching and kind of keeping up with that will one day be a binge TV show, but just hasn't hit the time mark yet?
I mean, I watch a lot of anime, so that's that can kind of fall into that category. Because with it primarily being from another country, the release schedule and it's a little weird.
Okay. Noah, how about you?
I guess I was sort of thinking Rick and Morty, but it's I don't know, they just don't come out with a ton of episodes, so I don't think it'll ever be super long, but it's very consistent and interesting in the episodes that they do make. So if they keep making it, eventually could be binge worthy. Kind of similar to, but I guess you wouldn't consider like Family Guy or The Simpsons. Like
they've been around forever though. Like you can just pop that on and that's just mindless background
noise.
noise.
It's like background. It's not like binge. I
So,
guess.
would you consider that the difference though between like a pure comedy like that and like a show with actual character development and arches and things like that?
Yeah, maybe the plot isn't an important part of binge TV shows. There has to be a plot.
It has to hook you and keep you interested episode to episode. Even Archer at least has enough of a plot, and the seasons are short enough that it kind of pulls you in.
That's a phenomenal show. That's all I have
Yeah.
to say.
So Noah, what'd you think of The Mandalorian? I know you just started watching, and this is one of the shows I would consider. It's 1 season long, 8 episodes, not long enough to binge, but I thought it was really good.
So I think I've watched 4 episodes now, and I was talking to someone else, and they're like, yeah, you just need to keep watching it. It's a little slow at the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying earlier, just that's kind of why I brought up how much I really like blood, because in The Mandalorian, people are getting killed, and they're like, oh no,
That PG-13 rating.
my armor is singed. I'm dead. Come on, man, just get up.
Yeah, the Mandalorian, though, that's like, they kind of have, I would say, about 6 episodes of, this is just a random space western story. And then the last 2 episodes are like, this is what the show is actually about. So it kind of just goes about until it picks up on that plot continuing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still learning background and context and setting and all this.
And watching Baby Yoda be freaking adorable.
Yep.
Now, here's my question. It's kind of a segue, but it's still relative. What show did you absolutely love, but didn't get this like an extra next season, like that ended after like a season or 2 that you wish had more?
That's a great question.
So for me, this is typically the sci-fi shows that I'm sure everyone else has complained about.
I swear to God, if you say Firefly, I'm gonna be pissed.
No.
You hate Firefly?
I don't. That's the most generic answer.
That's the one. Okay, well, so another one is Alphas. Have you guys seen Alphas?
I know Alphas.
Yeah.
Respect the badge. Do you remember that, Noah?
Yeah, that one's good.
They ended on a cliffhanger, and it didn't even make sense, and it was a real buzzkill. Let me see. What else is there? Oh, Undeclared and Freaks and Geeks. So those are a little bit older.
Okay.
They were popular on Netflix when it first came out. But Undeclared was supposed to follow a kid through college, and it's like, all right, after his freshman year, we got canceled. And then Freaks and Geeks, I guess it kind of concluded, but it was only still like a season or something. So still a letdown, and I feel like they could have done way more.
Yeah, I can't remember the names of the series that I've watched where I was like, oh yeah, let me just binge this. This is so good. And then I get to the end of it, I was like, wait, no, it's canceled. Just try to repress all that,
Well, so I had, and this is an old TV show, and it might have lasted, I think, 3 seasons, which falls outside what we were doing here. But remember Nitro Circus?
No, you said that so casually, like I had any idea.
I've watched that before, yeah, where it's kind of like off-brand Jackass.
Jackass with professional athletes. So
if you're a professional athlete, why are you doing that?
Because it's like motocross guys and stuff like that. Like they're just
nuts. Okay.
Like they're like backflipping like dirt bikes off a pool or something like that. Like just ridiculous stuff like that. Like back when I was in like high school and probably late middle school, like I was all about that show. Just wishing like I could do like, oh, I can go do a flip on my bike or something like that. But
Did you?
Nah, I just fell off a bunch.
Here we go, killer backflip. Ah, that's my back.
Popped a wheelie once.
Not on purpose. So, next up, we got things that you wouldn't recommend. So these are like popular, if you can think of any, that everyone loves, but that you watch and they're just like, why do people like that? And for me, I'll probably get hated for this, but one's Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've heard good things, but it just starts so slow, and I just can't get into it. And then the one that everyone loves at my office of work is The Office. And it is just, it's so dry, and I don't know, just doesn't pull me in.
I think The Office, again, because I think like one of the greatest seasons for The Office is season 3. So it takes a bit to get there, and like again, it's probably like slower, but it's like maybe much slower than Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Well, Parks and Rec I considered slow because that was like, Amy Poehler has a TV show. Let's make her make a billion jokes. And then they were like, oh, wait, we actually have an awesome cast of all really funny people. Let's build on all of them. And then it really took off. Like, season 1 was like 7 episodes. And then season 2, when they started bringing people in more, was, I think that's when they got a full season or something. So.
Yeah. I can't... I didn't really enjoy, what was that, Western comedy show that, Ashton Kutcher was in pretty recently?
The Ranch?
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't really enjoy that one too much, and I knew a lot of people that did get a kick out of that one.
They're still making new ones, and I agree.
I didn't like Grey's
not hooking
Anatomy.
me in.
I did not like Grey's Anatomy.
And that's because you have too much male genitalia.
You have too many genitalias.
Well, no, just the male genitalias, because, Grey's is a female. The name of the show is literally Girl Anatomy, girl body parts.
What?
Don't worry about it. All right, so let's move on to our bracket debate. I picked a bunch of shows that I have binge watched, so sorry if your favorites aren't listed. And then I ranked them according to IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes to create a seating order. So we're going to be picking our favorite TV show and the one we most recommend for you guys to sit around and binge watch. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure if Jake and Noah have seen all of these, but we'll see which one entices them the most, and maybe they'll binge watch it too.
Maybe.
Just for the record, Phil has too much time on his hands.
Most of these were college. I'm pretty sure.
Actually, looking at this list, yes.
Yeah, I think there's 2 I see that weren't college. All right. So first up, we have It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and then a combination of Arrow and Flash, since they take place in the same universe. Arrow and Flash was actually... So it's a superhero TV show. It was ranked the lowest. Definitely probably one of the lower budget things on this. But Always Sunny in Philadelphia actually came in number 1 according to rankings, which I thought was weird because it's like never won an award. So I'm picking It's Always Sunny, though. It's hilarious. It has a little bit of a lull, I think, around season 6 or something, where things slow down. But then it's really picked up recently. And it has like 14 seasons of at least 10 episodes. So you can really milk away a few days.
I'm a hit or miss in Always Sunny, but I really don't like the Flash or Green Arrow. So it's going to be Always Sunny.
You don't like them as superheroes, or...
Well, no, so I've read all the comics, so I don't enjoy this show. Well, I've read a lot of the comics. I shouldn't say all of them. But,
that's fair. They do twist things a good amount.
But Always Sunny, for me, there's hit or miss episodes. Like, there's some that I really enjoy, and there's some I'm just like, no.
Yep, that's why I said those middle few seasons really took a dive down. Noah, what are you thinking, since your vote doesn't matter?
I really... So, both Flash and Arrow start off really good. Like, amazing.
I agree.
And then they also hit...
Laurel's so hot in the first season of Arrow.
they hit just, like, a lull as well. And, I mean, I'm going to go with Always Sunny as 2, but I do really enjoy, the Flash and Arrow, how they start off, and then how they, work together within the same universe. But I think they just dragged it on too much.
I agree.
And, I mean, It's Always Sunny has dragged it on a lot, but they're not dragging the same thing. They switch it up what they're dragging. So it's great.
The one time being a comedy show instead of having plot actually helped It's Always Sunny is I forgot that, nothing good happened in the middle, and then it came back and was funnier. So I'm back hooked. All right, now we got Chuck versus Community. So I'm picking Chuck. If you guys don't remember, it is a nerd gets together with a super...
It becomes a spy or something like that,
Yeah, and the super hot girl is blonde and named Sarah, so it's essentially my wife. She's kind of a secret spy, whatever. So yeah, I go Chuck because, it stars my wife.
I enjoy the Community a lot better than Chuck. I did watch Chuck. It's one of the few on this list that I have seen. But I also watched the Community, and I got more laughs out of that one.
Yeah. My thing about Community is I just love, and I think it's season 4 where they make the joke that they pretended that season 3 never happened, or that was like a separate universe because of how weird and awkward it got. So I'm glad that they addressed that within the TV show. Noah, what about you?
Phil, I'm gonna go with Community.
Oh, why is that?
There's no blood in Chuck. No,
I can see for being a spy thriller, there's no blood.
Huge fan of Donald Glover.
Oh, absolutely. You mean the Childish Gambino? Orlando Calrissian?
I don't think there's a "the" in front of his name.
He'll build up enough He'll build up enough reputation, and the will appear. Let's see. Now we got It's Always Sunny versus Community, and I go It's Always Sunny. There's more to watch of it, so kills more of my time.
I enjoyed the Community better than Always Sunny. But there is more.
You're a
Always
big fan
Sunny.
of Community.
That's
I wouldn't say big fan, but I've seen more of the Community.
It's just Community. Yeah. It's not the Childish Gambino.
Yeah, they're at community college. It's not the community college, the community college. But no,
sound like a Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah,
I'm going with Always Sunny because it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
I love it.
According to them.
All right. So now in the bottom left corner we have Scrubs versus Friends. So I'm going Scrubs. You guys may not know this about me, but it's my favorite show. Apparently, it's completely molded my personality because as I rewatch, I'm like, dang, I'm a lot like JD, and I say a lot of stupid stuff the way he does. So Scrubs all the way, man.
How old were you when you started watching that?
I actually, so I believe the show was coming out 2001, 2002, and I had started watching it when I was in like first or second grade, actually.
Okay.
And then we we couldn't find where it was being aired, so I started watching it about 2006. So I was in 6th grade then, and that's when it was on Comedy Central all the time. And then it was on Netflix, so I could binge through the whole series. I did it at least once a summer because you got to keep up.
Except that last season. That last season was a.
Well, so when I went through these, when I went through these phases, I even watched season 9 and what the spin-off show was supposed to be because true diehard fan, you got to watch the whole thing. So, Noah, where you going?
I'm
Scrubs
also
or Friends?
going with Scrubs. Because of friendship.
Jake,
I'm saying Scrubs also.
all right, so now we got Modern Family versus NCIS.
Dang, no one wants to say any words to Friends at all. It's just barely.
It's there. It exists. A lot of people like it. I have no problem with it, but Scrubs is just better.
As I rewatch, I think the heart of Friends, there's a solid 2 or 3 seasons in the middle. I don't know which ones, but that's its peak. And then the end is kind of they kept making episodes because they were making money. And the beginning is just too 90s, watching it in retrospect. So it's still funny and good, but great way to something to have on in the background. But I just don't think Scrubs, man, they teach you a moral lesson at the end of every episode.
And sometimes there's one in the middle of the episode too.
What? Insane. 2 for the price of 1. All right. Anyways, Modern Family versus NCIS. I'm going Modern Family. Sarah and I just recently watched all of it, and Phil Dunphy is who I aspire to be with my children. The fun parent who never has to discipline them while Sarah's doing all the yelling and they love me. So going with Modern Family.
Is that the show where one of the dads is the janitor from Scrubs?
No, that is. You guys start talking. Yes, I do know, but that's not it. I'm gonna think about that.
Well, I choose NCIS. This was my vote, one of my few votes on the binge-worthy TV shows. Don't enjoy Modern Family. Don't really find it that interesting. NCIS is one of the few crime procedurals on this. And I mean, just for reference, besides my girlfriend loving it, I did for Christmas get her an original copy of an autographed script from the cast.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you guys aren't messing around there.
No, like legitimately, we both really enjoy it. She's way more hardcore into it than I am, but she falls asleep to it every night, and it keeps me up all night because I get sucked in because I'm actually interested in what's going on.
Okay, see, that's a good binge-worthy TV show. It prevents you from sleeping.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Noah, what's your pick?
So I don't think I've ever watched Modern Family. And
that's a penalty, I understand. But you could binge it now. I don't think it's actually available anywhere to binge. You'd have to borrow it from an online source.
Binge-worthy to me. But no, my parents love NCIS. I'm pretty sure they've watched it like half a dozen times. So I've seen a good amount of it as well. And it's actually like it sucks you in, and you just sit down and like, okay, well, I don't remember what I was doing before, but I'm on the couch watching NCIS.
All right, so now we got Scrubs versus NCIS. As I said, my life as a child went away to Scrubs, so I'm going to pick it. It's the best show ever, so Scrubs for me.
Y'all got any more of them episodes?
This is a tough one for me because I enjoy both.
Do you want me to make it easier?
I'm gonna say Scrubs. I'm gonna say Scrubs, unfortunately, because that came in before NCIS in my life.
And Noah, are you going to piggyback on that?
No, I'm part of the core foundation of the vote for Scrubs.
All right. So in the finals now, we got Always Sunny versus Scrubs.
Oh, gosh.
I go Scrubs, like I said.
Hey, speaking of Scrubs, the janitor from Scrubs.
It's the middle.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you didn't bring it
I
up
meant to
yet.
say that. That's my fault. But
He's
yeah.
also in That 70s Show, Seinfeld, CSI, and Smallville.
So looking at these, though, like, Scrubs is... I don't know. That these two, Scrubs has the most character development. I don't know. Some people tell me they don't like Scrubs because it's not as funny as they want something to be. And I'm like, it's not a sitcom. They don't have a laugh track. That's why you're not laughing. It just... it's comedic, but it's not like a funny show. I don't know how to say it, so.
I don't know. Scrubs is... It's one of those things that can very easily turn into background noise for you if you need it to. Like,
I agree.
Don't need to focus on what's going on. Also, the theme song's pretty amazing.
All the music throughout, it's amazing. Unfortunately, they butcher that when they put it on Hulu because of licensing deals. So if you bought the actual DVDs of the season, you would get different music on a good amount of the episodes, and it really frustrates me.
Yeah, that's lame because that's one that you don't
That's
skip.
good to know.
Yeah.
Because it's quick.
Yeah. Noah, what about you?
I am going with Scrubs.
Scrub-a-dub-dubs down in the tubs.
You do have to pay attention to It's Always Sunny a little bit more than Scrubs to know what's going on.
Well, and to get their jokes sometimes.
Yeah.
So...
Yep.
Usually anything with Dennis, you have to like really focus for a whole episode because it's like a really dry, slow build to what he does. But then it's funny. All right, so we got the top right corner. We have Game of Thrones versus Shameless. Now, I put these up against each other for like this corner bracket to me are shows that were really good, but then didn't know how to end themselves. And they're just kind of straggling along. Like... Game of Thrones, everyone's heard about it, internet blew up a few months ago because of it. Shameless is good, but then, like, I don't know, I feel like they're like, oh, we're getting close to a conclusion for our characters. Let's smack them all down and put them in the exact same cycle we had them before.
Wow, are we spoiling everything?
Maybe. But if I'm picking, I'm going Game of Thrones. I don't know, just way more emotion.
No,
Love.
because I've seen neither of these.
I'm also going with Game of Thrones. But also, it's tough because Shameless gets you going from the first episode. Game of Thrones, you have to know that you just need to get through the first season, and probably after you watch it, you'll be like, I'm just gonna go back to the first season and see if anything makes sense.
So Sarah and I have like we've watched it. I think she started watching like when they were starting season 6 or something. So when we watched it the first time, they were still making it, and she was still interested in everything, but she had no idea what was going on because she didn't know any of the characters' names. Then the second time she watched it, she's like, oh my gosh, that's that guy. I'm like, that is totally that guy. I know, right? And then the third time, she started to actually pick up on some of the subplots going on and like how they were being real secretive with stuff.
Yeah.
So it does have some value to rewatch, but like I said, now that you know where it ends, you're just kind of like, we're building to such an anticlimactic finish. Just breaks your heart.
And they also just kill off some of the subplots before finishing them as well.
Well, those are for spin-off TV shows, you know, the ones they haven't made yet.
Can't wait.
All right. So next up, we have the two shows. Like I said, this is the boring ending bracket, and we have New Girl and How I Met Your Mother. And these were so good, and they hooked you on like certain topics for so long, and then they just didn't satisfy you with how they delivered the information. So for me, How I Met Your Mother, the whole spending a season to get Barney and Robin married, and then that you divorce them 10 minutes into the next episode is just the worst. And then New Girl, they made a 5th season because I feel like they were like, hey, you want some money? And they're like, cool, we'll take a couple bags of money. And that's why they made the 5th season. Or 6th, I can't remember.
Yeah,
whatever it is, whatever the last one.
I don't think I even watched. I think I watched like 2 episodes, and I was like, this is a different show. This is a completely different show.
So I guess for me, though, on the first time through, I think How I Met Your Mother would intrigue me more. Because if I remember right, like through 5 seasons, I was actually like really interested in Ted's storyline, and then they're like, this has gone on for too long. He's just kind of sad and depressing, so let's make him douchey now. And then it just dragged on too much. So, but the hook, the first 5 seasons is, I think, better in How I Met Your Mom.
I'm going with New Girl.
Okay. I respect that. It was close.
I'm going with How I Met Your Mother.
Do you know what New Girl is, Jake?
I've seen a couple episodes. I don't particularly enjoy it.
You haven't seen good episodes then.
Okay.
No, the very first episode I saw was, I think it was the first time they played True American.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just a great episode.
Oh, I love playing True American. I wonder. Oh, wait. Okay. I can't have more than 10 people here, so.
I was going to say, once Sarah and I get a house and, you know, the whole travel ban is gone and everything, you guys can come over and we'll play True American in my basement.
Are you going to have, like, a basement that just looks like a frat house living room or what? Like,
we'll tear it up.
I can help.
If it's furnished, we'll rip it up.
I can help design that.
We'll find some free futons. Fill it in.
All right, so now we got Game of Thrones versus How I Met Your Mom. These shows actually kind of lined up really well. I guess Game of Thrones carried on a little bit more. Well, actually, it did go on for much longer. But I think the way their stories were told lines up the same. But I think I would go with How I Met Your Mother. I feel like I can get through more with the way it ends than Game of Thrones. Because Game of Thrones, like, just knowing everything, it just hurts me. But I guess if it's the first time through, I would pick Game of Thrones. Noah, you pick, and then I'll pick. Sorry.
Okay, this is difficult because at least with How I Met Your Mother, to some extent, you can make sense of things. In Game of Thrones, the stuff, like it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. There's so many holes. It doesn't make sense. People even tried. They're like, let's see if we can figure out some way that this makes sense. It doesn't make sense.
Nothing's funnier though. So, for people that haven't watched it, Jake, Game of Thrones, they took an extra year off to put out like the final 6 episodes of Game of Thrones. And in that time, YouTube blew up with all these fan theories, and all these sites were going crazy with everyone like, oh, they could do this and this and this. And they actually sounded like good, intriguing plots. Mm-hmm. And then what they did was nothing at all. And that's how they ended it.
Good.
So it was like it hurt even more because you were excited because you heard all these good thoughts and like, oh, these writers got to see and have good ideas, and they didn't.
So I'm gonna go with How I Met Your Mother over Game of Thrones.
Does first viewing versus repeat viewings matter?
Yeah, I was gonna get into that. So with Game of Thrones, it's worth a watch and worth a rewatch up to a certain point. And with How I Met Your Mother, you can watch it as many times as you want. You can jump around with episodes. It's just like better that way. With Game of Thrones, it's more like you can go on YouTube and look up like a scene compilation of like what you want to get at. You know, if you want to see Amelia Clark
best
naked.
of Tyrion Lannister.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that. But with How I Met Your Mother, you can just sit down and watch like your favorite season, you know?
Noah brings up a good point. Game of Thrones did help Pornhub out a lot. There was a while of the, Mother of Dragons searches going in there.
Jesus.
It was a long year.
All right. All right, so bottom right corner. I think I did a good job matching these up. We got This Is Us versus Parenthood. These are two, like, family-based stories, and they do get really emotional. And,
yeah.
Like, so for me, I think Noah and I are going to disagree, and this is going to go up to Jake, which I think is funny. So I got Parenthood.
Which is funny because I've never seen either of them. So
you're going to have to pick the one you want to see
Phil,
more.
I'm not going to disagree with you, actually.
Really? I thought you were a big This Is Us guy.
So I was, but it got like there were a few core themes, I guess, like plots, and once they finished up those, it was really good up in that point, but then whatever they introduced to try and keep the show going, I just couldn't get into it. Like, I didn't really care about like any of the plot arcs that were going on for multiple episodes. I was like, I just don't care. I'm sorry. With Parenthood, I never watched it all the way through, but I saw a good amount of the episodes, and it was a good show. And I think they kept like important characters and ended their plot arcs correctly, and kept other characters' plot arcs going, and things that were going on. It was well put together.
So
I
was actually like I think Parenthood is one that actually ends in a satisfying way. Like so the last season is a short season because I think it was another one that was added on. But like when they conclude it, it seems a little rushed, but it's not too rushed, and how it all works out I think is really nice. So rewatching it, I think it's cool to see, because if you watch it at different times, you can kind of connect with different characters in the family, since they all come out of like different perspectives. So I really like that aspect of it too. So we got Parenthood. Now we got The Office versus Parks and Rec. Jake, can you feed in on this one?
It's gonna have to be Parks and Rec. I really don't enjoy The Office. I don't really enjoy the Parks and Rec either, but it's a little bit better than The Office.
Why don't you enjoy The Office?
Why don't
because
you
I
enjoy
feel like
Parks
we're
and Rec?
some of the few people.
I don't like the fronting on the camera and the talking of it. I just find it awkward and frankly don't like it.
I think they do a good job of capturing an awkward business place, though, because that's what they do. But that doesn't mean it's good TV.
I don't work in a business setting, so I couldn't tell you what that's like.
Well, I work in a business setting with a bunch of guys with math degrees, so if you can just imagine the awkward conversations we have. Noah,
You guys talk?
what are you picking?
So just the music alone from Parks and Rec, it really it's amazing, you know, between
Your 5,000 candles in the wind.
Yeah. It's
I love that. This is going to be 5,000 times better than a candle in the wind.
so, and the ending, I'd say, was better than The Office.
Okay. That's actually surprising because Parks and Rec, they did that. Let's fast forward 3 years and make up stuff now. But now we got Parks and Rec versus Parenthood. I go Parenthood. It's what I currently watch. I use it more in the background, and I would think Parks and Rec would be better background stuff, but I don't know, for whatever reason. Like, I watched it through, and I remember being really attached to some characters, but don't get the same feeling when I rewatch it. So I'm going Parenthood.
I'm gonna go Parks and Rec because I've never seen Parenthood.
I'm also gonna go Parenthood for binge-worthy TV show over Parks and Rec. As much as I love the music in Parks and Rec.
All right, so now we got How I Met Your Mother versus Parenthood. I think this one is very tough, actually, because while Parenthood was more satisfying, How I Met Your Mother, I think, is... I like watching it again more because it's funnier. So, I think I'm going to go with How I Met Your Mother on this one. I feel like this is just more of a nostalgia factor, too.
Yeah, I'd much rather binge and re-binge How I Met Your Mother. Because,
Okay.
I mean, I don't have to watch it in order exactly. I can pop in wherever I want to watch. Be like, oh, I want to watch this plot arc, so I'm going to start right here and just watch, like, this season or whatever. But that could just be like, okay, I know How I Met Your Mother more than I know Parenthood, so also a significant factor.
All right. Jake, we have Scrubs versus How I Met Your Mother now. These were the two shows that like pretty much molded me into a person because I pretty much watched them nonstop starting 6th grade through college. So
I choose Scrubs.
is this a hate for How I Met Your Mother? Is it just a love for Scrubs?
I just like Scrubs better. I've seen both pretty much entirely through, but I have fond memories of staying up late and watching Scrubs with my dad.
Me and my brothers, that's how we feel. Noah, how about you?
I'm also going with Scrubs. Yeah, when it comes to binge-worthy shows, it's number one.
Yeah. I think the nice thing about Scrubs and being binge-worthy is it is a good blend of can hook you in if you're paying attention, but also if you're not paying attention, you don't miss a ton. So
Still follow the plot pretty easily.
yeah. JD's Bane and Elliot every now and then. That's about it. Turk and Carla, they're a married couple. The end.
It's just great the whole time.
Oh man. All right, so there it is. We're recommending Scrubs. Hold up before we do anything. Is there anything we missed? Any shows you want to mention that are available out there? By the way, Scrubs is on Hulu.
Me.
Hulu has most of these right now, by the way, if you want to watch any.
I want to mention some shows we didn't talk about.
All right. Jake, you bring the heat because since these were my favorite shows, you probably have a ton that weren't on there.
Well, Archer, first of all.
Did I not put Archer on the bracket?
No, I even sent you a message and you laughed about it.
No, oh my gosh, I meant to have it on here. That is my fault. Don't know what it was supposed to be on here in place of. My bad.
So, Archer, Blue Mountain State, which Noah likes.
Like I said, Blue Mountain State didn't hit the enough to it to qualify.
I think it managed to finish up okay.
Well, no, I just
not
meant
enough
enough
episodes.
time commitment.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got Futurama. Okay.
Okay.
For me.
Now, do you like Futurama a ton?
Yes.
Compared to like Family Guy?
Yes, it
and
is
why?
my favorite. It's my favorite animated show. I don't know. It's just something about the quality of the animation, the little jokes. Every time I rewatch it, there's just some new subtle joke, even in the background animation, There is a documentary on the making of Futurama, and apparently it was just like stupid expensive to make. That's why it
Really?
Because of the animation, just all the background stuff they had going on constantly.
Okay.
And they actually hired an orchestra to do the soundtrack.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's Matt Groening, right? Or
Yeah.
the Simpsons creator.
Yeah.
So the Pat McAfee show, there is a YouTube video clip of his show, and he goes through how he thinks Matt Groening's from the future because, one, if you watch The Simpsons, like, all these things happen, like, in The Simpsons 10 years before they happen in real life, like Disney buying Fox, Trump becoming president, and like, just a ton of stuff. And then he's like, I bet you he's just mocking us by making Futurama. Like, hey, guys, this is the actual scene of the future. Here it is.
I'm not going to disagree. Some of the other shows I had, Brockmire. I don't know if you've
What's
seen that.
Brockmire?
It's about a washed-up alcoholic minor league baseball announcer. That's played by Hank.
That sounds
played
borderline like the plot of what is it? Bad News Bears.
Well, it's about it's the guy that plays the main character is Hank Azaria, the comedian.
Oh, that's cool.
It's actually it's right at my alley for humor. It's great. Like just like that sarcastic, like just
Super dry.
yeah.
I love Super Dry. That's why I like Seth Rogen.
And then Arrested Development.
All right, so Arrested Development was one I thought about putting on here. I think it actually is made to be a binge-worthy TV show, but I've watched it once, and I had some laughs, but it doesn't do enough to get me back to sit down and watch it.
Well, it's essentially a live-action character of Archer. Like, I mean, it's the same cast, essentially, that did Archer.
Yeah.
And then the last one was what's growing on me is Schitt's Creek. It's such a dumb
Schitt's
show.
Creek. Sarah loves it.
It's such a dumb show.
I watch it and like I think it's okay, but I don't know. I can't get into it too much, but I could see how it's a good show. Noah, any shows on your perspective that we missed?
Hmm.
Not a trick question. So
nope.
I'll throw out a couple things that I've watched recently that I think are pretty good. Plugging Disney Plus here. So the Disney Plus like documentaries that they've put up have actually been really good. There was a documentary on Imagineering, and it's essentially the development of Disney from like the very first park and how they designed it and everything. And it's actually really cool because you see like the process they went through and how when they built Disney in Florida, like Walt Disney's like, I don't like what we have in California because you get characters from different kind of themes interacting with each other. Like you have Musketeer Mickey Mouse interacting with regular Mickey Mouse, and they should stay in their own places. So they built the whole underground map so that characters can go underground and not be seen in the wrong place.
Okay, going off that, I got two things here. The first one directly relates to what you said, Phil. One is actually a YouTube series. It's called Defunct Land.
What's that?
It talks about all the like weird like rides and like attractions at various amusement parks, mainly Disney, that just don't exist anymore and why they got taken away.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of goes into the weird history, and it's a very well put together like YouTube series, and you can search it, Defunct Land.
That's free on YouTube. That's not YouTube TV required, right?
No, it is free. It's just a guy's channel.
Okay. Nice.
And it even like ranges up into like our neck of the woods in Ohio with like some stuff at like Kings Island and Cedar Point, like that.
Oh wow,
stuff like
that's pretty cool.
He hits everywhere, but a lot of it obviously being Disney because that's been around forever.
Yep.
And the one show I forgot was Letterkenny.
Oh, Letterkenny's a great show.
Letterkenny, I think, is worth watching if you have not seen it. It is something special.
I've never even heard of it.
Really?
It's hillbilly TV, right? Like, but it's really funny, and it's not too hillbilly.
And it's Canadian. It's very Canadian.
Canadian hillbilly. I guess lumberjack. It's just the term for that, right?
Yes, Phil. Very
They call
politically
themselves
correct
Hick.
of you.
They call themselves Hicks in Skids. Letterkenny is worth watching.
Noah, we hit any of your brain ever get going on something else?
No.
Oh, no. Fantastic TV show. Please tune in. Oh,
Well,
I'm
all
sorry.
right, guys.
This
Go
little
ahead.
episode of things called the RadeKalls podcast will hook you in and talk about very valuable points of life. Anyways, thanks for listening. Like I said, please like and subscribe on whatever you use to listen. Check out the TV shows that we've all mentioned. And follow the links in our description to Patreon, and please help support us. Like I said, all the funds will go to improving what we have here so that you can enjoy it even more.
Also, shoot us a message. We will play you in Rocket League. We're not good, but we'll play you.